All right, son, rock and roll. Here we go. What's going on today there, Mr. Jacklich? Looking all
right.
refreshed and almost like showered and shaved and wow.
Wow, don't give away my secrets.
That's right. They got to pay for that stuff, right?
That's right. That's secret stuff. That's a different podcast.
Okay. Paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are, gold ball hunting, talking to our players out there, guys that are looking to improve on their results in the national events, senior events, first, second round, or maybe you're trying to get that threshold into the 16s or quarters, or you're actually in the hunt for the gold, as I am. I've come close, smelled it, sniffed it, a couple of silvers now.
Yeah.
But I'm right there, man. It's just
tasty.
I'm right there. I can taste it, baby. And then, of course, our senior league players as well, looking to bump up the next level or just win more league matches. And then, of course, our once a week, twice a week guys and gals that get out there and just play with their group every week, and you're tired of buying the beer and the wine, and you just want to improve that. So whatever your gold ball is, hopefully we're giving you some nuggets here through our experience and our playing that can help you out. So that's what we're doing today.
Excellent. Well, good. We're doing a daily podcast, and so far we're on schedule every day. I think this is podcast number 32. I think we have a few scheduled. This is number 32. Anyway, so it's been a lot of fun, guys, and really, as Jeff said, we are trying to, with those three types of players, trying to bump up your confidence, and we're trying to do that through helping you reduce your skill level range. And your skill level range is that thing where, hey man, yesterday you went out and you played lights out. I mean, the ball was coming, it was looking this big, and you could take your time and, kind of like, all right, big deal, ho-hum, and knock off another winner. And then today you go out there and, you lay the egg. So,
Yeah.
And it's not always from day to day. Sometimes it's during the match, right? The first set you come out of the blocks fast and furious, and the next thing you get up a break in the second and you start thinking, gosh, I'm about to win this match against this good guy.
Right.
Gulp. And the next thing you know is you kind of cough it up and you go down like 1 in the third, something like that. So we want to help you build that.
We've all been there.
We want to help you build a small skill level range. If this is your top, really want to help you bring the bottom up on a day-to-day basis so that it's a small skill level range. You get to trust and depend on how you're going to play every day. And once you do that, that's when you really build some true confidence into your tennis game. We're helping you do that in two ways. Number one, right now at the time of this recording, we are offering a free, a complimentary, a no charge, it's on us, it's on the house, 10-minute coaching call with the three of us, with you, me, and Jeff. And what we do is we get in the phone for 10 minutes, or if you're outside of the country, we can do Skype or Zoom. But what you got to do is you got to come to that call with the number one thing in your game right now that you just can't figure out. And it's just kind of knocking your head against the wall going, it's the same thing day in and day out, I'm just not quite getting it. And we want to sort of set you on the right path, give you some ideas of what to do about it. The way to get that free call is to go over to goldballhunting.com/call, CALL. And you'll get to a webpage where you can schedule a day and time that really works best for you. And then we'll take it from there. The other thing we've got for you is over at goldballhunting.com is a free video that will help you reduce that skill level range. It's a private video. It's free, but that's how you get it. First name, email address.
Whatever.
Do it. So anyway, and then what we do with these podcasts is one day Jeff puts me in the hot seat. I don't know what he's going to ask me. We're trying to God dang it. We're trying to share personal stories as a player and a coach. And then the next day I get to put Jeff in the hot seat, unscripted. So Jeffrey, I think it's my turn to
Your turn.
Feel that I've just gotten in my car and I've hit the seat warmer button.
There you go.
And I can already feel it. It's already starting to get hot. What's going on?
That's right. Well, we'll see if you don't get too tongue-tied this morning. 1 or 2 cups of coffee already this morning? One. Okay, there you go.
Just one.
Just the one and the smoothie. All right. So what I got for you this morning, and this is, I think, the question is born out of, as players, and no matter whether you're playing league tennis or you're trained and junior, blah blah blah, college, whatever. We have moments in our careers, right? And I think sometimes maybe players, like league players, maybe not, but maybe this is one of the things, is that being unaware of the aha moments. I mean, I can go through my own career and literally junior college, Division I, playing the tour. I mean, I can give you the ladder of moments in every kind of thing, and then what were the biggest and what happened, that whole thing. So for you, Mr. Brent Abel, this morning's mystery question is,
yes,
the biggest aha moment with Tom Stowe.
Oh,
and maybe give us a brief for those that are just joining us. Maybe they don't know U.S. tennis history. Give us a brief on Tom Stowe, just a quickie on who he was, and then of course you trained with him for about 18 months, probably almost 2 years, and so the question is, biggest aha moment with Tom
that I got from him.
Tom.
Well, that's an easy one for me, because it really was. It was a defining moment in terms of me becoming a better player, but it was one of those things where you just kind of, it's like it was so obvious that. But before I share that story with you, let me tell you a little bit about Tom Stowe. I mean, he's a Northern California tennis coaching legend, and he passed away actually in 1983. As Jeff mentioned, I got a chance to work with him for 18 months right before he passed away. And there's no question that he's the guy that I give all the credit to in terms of me having any of the success I've had as a player and also as a coach. But he went to, he grew up in the Bay Area, and he went to Cal Berkeley. He won the 1925 NCAA doubles with the great Bud Chandler. And then Tom, after that, graduated from Cal. He got into the coaching thing, and he first started over at the Claremont Country Club in Oakland. Yep. And really, at the time, there was no real book. There was no method of how to teach tennis. And so what he did is he watched the golf pros, and they all had a system. And it was a biomechanical system. And he really studied those guys, and then he went back and he figured out, well, what can I take from the golf pros and what a golfer does correctly with the swing and apply it to tennis? And he developed his own system, and the rest is history in terms of the players that he developed, the players that he coached. He had, I don't know, dozen plus of world-class players that he brought up. And the most famous one being, of course, Don Budge. Budge went on to win the 1938 Grand Slam, the first man to ever do that, and which is all 4 major titles in the same calendar year. And Budge came to him, it was already a good player, but there were a couple of missing pieces in his game. He already had this great backhand. Budge had the great backhand, but the forehand needed work, and Mr. Stowe really helped him become that all-court forcing player, where if you left a ground stroke short, whatever that was, and in Budge's case, it didn't, it could land pretty close to the baseline, and then that was short, you were in deep doo-doo. Doo-doo. And I've talked to lots of players who were great players who played Budge, and I never met Budge, but they just said that was the deal. If you left it somewhat short, it was over. It was just over.
Lights out.
And so Mr. Stowe coached Budge to the 38 Grand Slam, and then he went on to become the head pro at the Berkeley Tennis Club, where I first met him as a kid growing up there. I've been a life member growing up there in the very late 40s, 50s, 60s, and I got to know Tom a little bit then. And then he went up to where you are, Napa, at Silverado, in the late, I guess the late 60s or maybe the early 70s.
Yeah, and, late 60s, early 70s. Yeah.
Yeah. So
my own is I'm a Stowe, disciple myself once removed.
Right,
The
right, right,
assistant at the time, Tom's assistant at the time there at Silverado, became my coach,
right.
and so he was nothing but, you know, Stowe. You
Well,
know,
and Tom really, as I said in the beginning, he had a system, and he taught his system to his assistant pros, and it was, you know, it was based on balance, based on posture, based on these simple fundamentals that he insisted that you have those first, and that once you got those, then he encouraged you, lay your own unique personality down on top of that
right,
foundation. And so you could be a Stowe, you could look at two Stowe players, and they
right,
were totally different unless you were educated to what to look for. And so with
yeah,
me, I got this opportunity to work with Tom at the end of his life. He was already retired from Silverado, and he was teaching three other guys, and that's a story I think I've already shared before.
right.
But these three top guys in NorCal, and Steve Stefanke, Doug King, and John Hubble, and I begged my way to that group, and they let me in. Anyway, so, but that was like 81, 82, and then Mr. Stowe had to stop coaching. He passed away in 83, and in 84, yeah, I won my first national title, which was a 35 doubles, and totally because of him. I mean, it was just,
Yeah,
I had nothing to do with it. It was all Tom Stowe. But I'll never forget working with him, and it was when I first got up there, and we were working on the volley, and for me, I'd always thought, well, you know, you gotta make contact out in front. You gotta be out in front on the volley. So I took major liberties with out in front, and I mean, it was literally a straight arm, open stance, kind of, you know, reaching for the ball, and I made contact way out in front, like I thought I was supposed to, but it was this dead kind of just like thud, and you know, if it went over, and just sat up, and the guy just went, wow, unload central, and so I really had I was not great at volley. So anyway, when he saw that, he tried to help me with it, and I couldn't get his whatever he was telling me. So this one day he pulls out a stool. There was a stool that he
right,
had in the court, which I think he would sit on at that point because, you know, he really couldn't stand very long. So he'd sit on the stool. So he brought it out. He put it right there at the tee, and it was one of those stools that was pretty tall. It had the rungs on the bottom. So he had me face the forehand volley. He had me face the right net post. So I was like at a 45-degree angle to the net, and he said, "You got to pick your feet up. You got to put them on the rungs of the stool." I said, "All right." So he got in front of me and just underhand fed me this ball, and I was so far out in front with it that I fell forward off the stool. And he just kind of looked at me and kind of went, you know, kind of like, think about it for a second, right? Didn't say a word. I get back in the stool, I get repositioned, and I'm all set. He feeds me another ball, and same thing happens. I'm so far out in front, my upper body is leaning so far forward, it's all I can do to not fall flat in my face. So he says one word for the third ball. He says, wait. And so I said, all right, I guess I finally figured out that falling off the stool is not the way to volley. So it was all I could do to sit there and wait for the ball to get to me, but I did. And all of a sudden, I played this volley. This thing felt so natural and so instinctive. And, you know, I was using the continental grip, so the racket face was naturally slightly open.
perfect.
And I didn't fall off the stool. And this ball just ripped off my racket with this feeling in my hand that went into my body, and this aha moment just went, light bulbs were just, it was like, you know, New York Times Square, right? New Year's Eve,
Yeah,
the balls and all this stuff is going off. And he kind of looked at me and said, you got it now? And I said, oh man, do I have it. So he had me stand up from the stool. He said, same thing, you have to wait, you can't take a step. And boom. And from that moment on, I became a completely different tennis player. Now I knew how to volley. And
right.
and I knew how to volley and actually do a couple things, which was to create some skid over
Yep.
there. I was way more accurate, and I was on balance at the finish, so I could actually move to the best next place on the court.
Crazy idea, being on
Whoa,
balance after a volley, right?
that was crazy. So, and you know, I mean that was really, I mean that's the moment to me where I mean I've had all kinds of epiphany and all kinds of aha
Right.
moments throughout my career, but that was the one where the picture just, you know, it went from I'm this crappy tennis player, I
Right.
cannot volley worth a lick, to all of a sudden this
Right.
feeling, and now it's a different deal. And you know, I mean, I was just after that, I was just so hungry. I wanted to play singles, wanted to play
Right.
doubles. I wanted to
Right.
wait all day on the incoming ball, and
I think that's a great story. I mean, I know you've touched on it before in some of the other episodes, but I think the complete picture there is critical. You know, to understand. You know, waiting for the ball is to get technical here for a second. That quality is mysterious because the term, you know, hit it out in front is used so often and it's used so loosely, and it's so counterproductive. Let's say the misdefining of it is so counterproductive to being on balance at contact, and understanding that waiting for the ball is waiting for the ball. Now, if you don't want to wait for the ball any longer, then go stand closer to it. Go stand a little farther up in the court to it. But don't try to make contact earlier from where you're at. I hope that makes sense to
yeah.
everybody who's listening.
Well, I mean, think of
That creates the off-balance framework, the posture, all of that. You're giving all of that up to hit the ball in front. And so I think that's this waiting is just so critical.
I mean, look, I you know, and another way that I got it, and Mr. Stowe did help me a lot in terms of he didn't teach me tennis in terms of the old tennis teaching cliches that I'd heard forever, and he actually knew that I played a lot of baseball as a kid, and I talked to him about it. So, you know, it was kind of like when I felt that he sort of said, well, so think of it like this. Think of it. Baseball pitchers, what are they ultimately trying to do? I mean, Major League Baseball hitters, they cannot throw hard enough. If the hitter knows that a 100-mile pitch is coming in, the hitter's going to win that every time. But
Right.
so what are pitchers trying to do? Pitchers are trying to get hitters off balance, and by
Right.
not waiting, right? So.
Right.
And so it's kind of the same thing. And I love what you say about, look, if you want to take the ball earlier, the way I describe it is the posture and the balance is a package. It's just a
Right.
physical package. If you want to take the ball earlier because either it's going to drop too low or whatever, then you have to move the entire package up to the tennis ball.
Right.
And sometimes for me, it's not like actually moving forward. As you're transitioning, let's say you're playing an approach shot or you're playing serve and volley or chip and charge, and you're moving in. If the ball's out to your right or the ball's out to your left, what I used to do is I would think, well, I want to leave at least 1 foot in the middle. So I'm going to take one step out here and reach out here and
Right.
and semi move the package out there. And of course, what I'd do is I'd move out there. Now I wouldn't have the posture and the balance to have good stroke technique in the volley. But the worst case is I would now need another step after I chunked it away from the center of the court, and now it's kind of hung out to dry. So when I learned that you moved, as you described it, you move the whole package forward, or you move the whole package out to your right or out to your left, or at some whatever direction you have to go, when you arrive, you are on balance, you got good posture, and the stroke technique becomes so stupidly simple.
Right. Right.
But you can now recover back to the next best court position so efficiently. So
Yeah.
Great question, Jeff. And I would encourage you guys, if you are struggling at all with volley or this thing that we're talking about, balance and posture, and how do you get it, how do you feel it, let's get on this. As we mentioned in the beginning, let's get on that free 10-minute coaching call. And we want to help you figure this thing out, because if you don't figure it out, then it's really tough to keep that skill level range in here. It's going to be like this all day long.
Right.
So the way to get on that free 10-minute call is just go to goldballhunting.com/call, CALL, and you can schedule a time to get on the call with just 3 if it's a private call. And yeah, so great question, man. I really, I love the question, and I always love talking about Mr. Stowe. I mean, I just love talking about
I think, I'm gonna add one more thing here, because as we talked about, what Tom gave you there was not a tip. I mean, because that term too, I get it like inside my head sometimes when someone says something back to me after they've asked me my opinion or they've asked me for help.
Right.
And I give them the key. I give them the keys to the kingdom. And the response is, wow, Jeff, that's a really good tip. And I want to grab them by the throat and shake them and go, no, you don't understand. I just gave you the keys to the kingdom. It's not a tip. It's actually a doorway. And you need to make the distinction between understanding the information that you're getting, that there are some fundamental truths. And those are not tips. Those are the things that actually will solve just a laundry list of what you think are problems, what the player might think are problems in their game. And really, they're not problems. They're simply symptoms of a larger issue. And that issue, 9 times out of 10, 99% of the time, is a fundamental breakdown of something that you're doing. And that's not a tip. That is correcting and managing and improving fundamental basics of how to hit any, and it doesn't matter what technique you're using, it's just that. So I'm just going to encourage our listeners to understand the difference between a tip and what is, again, the keys to the kingdom.
I mean, a tip is just, it's false advertising. I mean, it's received, it's a tip to me sounds like this is a quick fix that I don't have to do anything with. So
Right.
it's like the value of it is minimal. And as opposed to what you're saying, and look, I told you how all of a sudden I had this epiphany, this huge aha thing by sitting on the stool and feeling how the racket worked on the volley for the first time. That did not mean that he gave me a tip that it was instantaneous. I had to go out and drill that sucker.
Right.
I mean, I would walk through my house, for the next couple of years just going, I'm on the stool, right? Feeling what that posture felt like.
Right.
It's not like a light switch, and it drives me as crazy, as it does you, Jeff, where someone will say, can you just give me this, can you just give me the thing? And I'm going, look, I can't. If someone can, then they're just sucking your money. I mean, that's all they're doing.
Right.
So make sure that when Jeff gives you the keys to the kingdom, that it'll unlock the door that will put you on the yellow brick road. But man, it's just not. It's just not.
At that point, you get one step onto the yellow brick road, and then it's all Shawshank all day.
That's right.
And then, a few months later, or however long, how much work you're putting in, then you get another step on the yellow brick road, and you come out and you go, oh, wait a second. I have a whole different view of how this game works, So anyway, I hope that's helpful.
All right, man. Well, listen, let's, I think we've done enough.
All right, so what to do?
We got some things we'd like to ask the folks to do right now, which are what, Jeff?
We'd like you to like us, share us, subscribe to us, and then please let us know down below what you think. Love to hear.
Awesome. Again, and guys, as of the time of this recording, we're still offering this 10-minute coaching call. It's a complimentary call. We'd love to help you with that one thing in your game right now that is just a head scratcher. Cannot figure this thing out. But you knew that if you figured it out, man, that all of a sudden that skill level range would be like this. So the way to get on that call is just go to goldballhunting.com/call, CALL. And you'll get an opportunity to schedule it at your convenience, a day and time. So with that said, guys, time to get out there, help someone else have a spectacular day.
Yeah.
And Jeff, we will do this again tomorrow.
Can't wait.